Now, the Supreme Court has delivered judgment on the appeals before it bordering on the crisis rocking the Rivers State House of Assembly. The court has ruled that CBN and all financial institutions should stop paying any money accrued to the government of Rivers State pending when Governor Sim Fubara presents the budget before the Martins Amaewhule-led House. Now, Justice Emmanuel Ajim awarded 5 million naira against Fubara on the SC 1174 2024 suit. News Central correspondent Joshua Marai has an update from the Supreme Court. Now we'll come back to that. Moving on, in Lagos State, where a dramatic turn of events saw ousted Speaker of the State Assembly Mudashiru Obasa returned to the Assembly on Thursday for the first time since he was removed by his colleagues, insisting that he remains the legitimate Speaker. Obasa, who was removed as the Speaker of the Lagos Assembly on January 13 over allegations of financial impropriety and gross misconduct, arrived at the Assembly complex around noon, accompanied by heavily armed security personnel. News Central's Bettina Nweli has more.
The entrance of the Lagos State House of Assembly looks like a carnival as supporters of the ousted Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, celebrate his return. Speaking with News Central's correspondent, Obasa's supporters say he was unlawfully removed and should be reinstated.
What's happening here today is not a big deal. It's what we call political moral support. You will know that it's been like 2 months now. The Speaker was removed on the 13th of January, and since that time, he has not set his foot on this place. So this is the first time he's coming here. So we got wind of it, and we came here to support him.
I love what is going on here today. We are outside here. We don't know what is going on in there, but I can hear outside that Obasa will be sitting back as a Lagos State Speaker of Lagos Assembly. So I love that.
This unexpected move has plunged the Assembly into confusion, especially following the reported withdrawal of security details assigned to the current Speaker, Mojisola Meranda. The situation remains tense as both Obasa and Meranda claim the speakership. As at the time of filing this report, the Assembly is yet to release an official statement regarding the unfolding of events.
We won't take laws into our hands, just like I told the staffs that they should not take laws into their hands. But we all belong to different constituencies, and we have our mandate. And whatever has to happen, the leadership should speak with us, and not this charade that we are seeing. We are not against the leadership's decision, but they should call us and tell us to our face, and not us hearing rumors. We are not against leadership decisions. It is the leadership. They took us here. They are our leaders, and we still stand. They nominated us, and we still stand with their decisions. But not to do it this way. We were embarrassed. So thank you, gentlemen.
We hereby reject Obasa.
We reject Obasa.
As you rightly said, I'm here. So as I'm here, it simply means the house is on.
Well, sir, on social media, we have information flowing that you barged into this premises.
Confirm it now. If you had, you should.
We were trying to confirm from you. Can you tell us exactly?
So what are you implying? Are you saying that I broke it or I broke the door to get access? Is that what you are saying?
I don't know.
So I go and confirm now. If you have had, then confirm from your source. He will do what? Yeah. Allege. Will do what? Will prove.
Yeah. So have you been reinstated? Are you back now?
I've told you repeatedly, I've never been removed. There's nothing like impeachment. So I don't know what you are saying. I've said this openly. Sir. That everybody, remove, what is it called? Impeachment or whatever, or removing is all democratic and constitutional. But in doing that, to achieve that, you must follow the due process.
Observers anticipate that the coming days will be crucial in determining the leadership and direction of the Lagos State House of Assembly. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Nwili.
And now we'll be going back to the Rivers Assembly crisis, where the Supreme Court has delivered judgment on the appeals. And we have standing by in court our correspondent, Joshua Imarai. Hello, Joshua. Please go ahead and give us an update.
Yes, like you rightly said earlier, Dashen, the Supreme Court has delivered a ruling on one of the appeal suits filed before the Supreme Court, and the person of Justice Emmanuel Agim delivered a particular ruling on the case on the suit number Supreme Court SC 1174 2024 suit. That is the suit challenging Fubara, who have went ahead to implement the 2020 fall appropriation bill of the Rivers State that was signed and given the green light by 4 members of the Rivers State Assembly. Well, you know, this case has moved from the Rivers State High Court down to the Federal High Court in Abuja and to the Court of Appeal, and now we are in the Supreme Court. Earlier, the Rivers State High Court held the position that since those estranged, embattled lawmakers decamped from one party to the other, they lose their right seat. However, the case was taken to the Federal High Court, who held that the person of Fubara, who is the governor of Rivers State, is to represent the 2024 appropriation bill before the Martins Amewele House. Fubara was not contacted with that ruling. He moved to the appeal court, and the appeal gave similar ruling to that same ruling that the Federal High Court in Abuja gave. And now we are here in the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court has ruled that the court and Nigerians, particularly politicians, cannot continue playing to the rule of men than to the rule of law. That's citing the previous ruling by the Federal High Court and the ruling of the Court of Appeal, that those were the rule of law according to the 1999 Constitution that applies to Nigerian law and the conduct of politicians and public office holders. But however, now we are seeing that the Supreme Court is acceding to the fact that the Federal High Court in Abuja is right, the Appeal Court in Abuja is right, and that Fubara is to represent the 2024 appropriation bill before the Martin Amewele-led House of Assembly of the Rivers State.
All right, so what else can you tell us, about the 5 million naira that was awarded against the governor?
You know, in legal cases and jurisprudence, there are expenses that are incurred and there are bills that need to be settled. Well, Justice Emmanuel Agim, in his wisdom, actually awarded a fine of 5 million against Fubara in this case as we speak.
All right, well, thank you so much for that update, Joshua. We'll definitely reach out to you later for more on this. And now for more on the Lagos Assembly drama, I am joined by a political affairs analyst and publisher, Taiwo Olakpade. He joins me in the studio to share his thoughts on the crisis. Thank you so much for joining me, Taiwo.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, now let's talk about, this Lagos Assembly tussle and everything. How would you capture the different angles and different facets of, what is going on in the Assembly?
Well, we just saw the Supreme Court ruling as regards the same or similar crisis that is about playing out in Lagos State. And for me, it's looking more like Rivers, like Lagos. It started with Rivers State, and we have saw the ruling from the Supreme Court, which is the final arbiter at the apex court in the land. So from Supreme Court, you can't take your case anywhere else. You just have to accept the verdict of the Supreme Court. So I wouldn't like to say I'm afraid that the current happenings in Lagos State may also want to degenerate into the similar development or trend that we have seen over the last 1 year thereabout in Rivers State. For me, I think particularly what happened yesterday in the House of Assembly, I think is a very sad commentary, a very sad development, because the House State Speaker, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, has already taken his matter before a court. Why don't you allow the court of law to take precedent, to give ruling in this matter, and not by resolving to self-help? That's exactly what I saw happen yesterday at the Lagos State House of Assembly. And I don't really blame him, because he was feeling like, no, I was not constitutionally removed.
That was nothing
as
like
the speaker, he said there was not an impeachment. They can only impeach the president or the governor, as the case may be. But what gave him the effrontery, as we saw in the video, was because of the security aid. You know,
yes, I was actually going to ask ask you that. What do you make of Miranda's aid that was withdrawn and the apology from the Commissioner of Police?
I think for me that apology is not acceptable.
But do you suspect power play there?
Exactly, because I saw the briefing by the new Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, CP Moshood, and I was wondering. He said the State Police Command is conducting audits of policemen attached to VIPs and political heavyweight and the like. So, should we say it is coincidental that it affected Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda? And I would have loved to hear from the CP how many other VIPs, as this routine police check affected. It should have listed them rather than now just narrow down to why Mojisola Miranda, and why that at the same time, almost about a few hours, to when the security aid to the speaker was withdrawn, that we saw about barrage of security. It's just a matter of one plus one. A barrage of security now deployed to House Speaker Mudashiru Obasa. And some people have said that maybe the commissioner was trying to avoid the clash of security aid, because of course if people are carrying the AK-47, it could lead to face-off between the heads of Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda and possibly maybe the speaker that make a dramatic return into the House of Assembly yesterday.
All right, now a few days ago, there were insinuations, of a truce following interventions of the ruling party's elders in the state. Now, do you see deepened cracks, within the political party itself?
The bottom line is nothing bad about the ruling APC looking or adopting a political solution to this matter, because we are talking about politicians. But one thing that is also very clear is they are not doing this in our own interest. It's not in the interest of the generality of Lagosians. It is their own selfish motive and selfish interest. And that's the way politicians, that's the way they don't, and that's why sometimes I pity those people that say, I'm for Obasa, I'm for Miranda, they come dancing, and then they are not for you, they are for themselves. They think about themselves, not the people, even who voted them into office. So we saw the move by the Governor's Advisory Council, we call them the GAC in Lagos State. They had a marathon meeting over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, trying to find an amicable resolution. And some of those things that we are hearing from their closed-door meeting, one is that, the current governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, comes from Lagos Central. And by providence, the speaker that was endorsed by our colleagues, Mojisola Miranda, is from Apapa. Apapa is also Lagos Central. That's one of the permutations that we cannot have the governor from the same senatorial district. And also you have the speaker, which is number 3. The deputy governor is Amsat, Dr. Kadir Amsat is from Ekpe. That's in Lagos East. So what we are hearing is they want to balance the political equation. Governor, Lagos Central, Deputy Governor, Lagos East, and now the speaker should come from Lagos West, where the House Speaker, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, comes from. But Miranda is also within the Lagos Central Senatorial District. But they never knew that will happen, because we have seen also an impeachment of a former speaker in this same Lagos House of Assembly, Right Honorable Jokutola Pelumi, in 2005. And heaven did not fall. But at that time, Jokutola Pelumi was from Ekpe Constituency 1, and the person who succeeded him, Right Honorable Adeyemi Sabiti Kuforiji, happens to also be from Ekpe Constituency 2. So that's exactly what they are saying, that even if Obasa is going to be removed, we need to get somebody from either Agege or someone from Alimosho, Badagry, but now we are hearing that they narrowed down to Honorable David Setonji, who is from Badagry constituency. Yeah. But what we saw yesterday, we are thinking that maybe by the time the House will convene, the House had adjourned Sinadai under Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda. That happened on Monday. Mudashiru Obasa came in with about 4 other lawmakers. They had a sitting plenary in the same chamber. I don't want to go to what happened, how they made their way into the chamber, also into the office of the speaker. But what we saw again was he also pronouncing adjournment of the House died. So what exactly is going on?
Exactly.
Does it mean that we now have what is going on playing out in River State? They're just like Rivers, now like Lagos. And for me, it's quite a very sad development.
Absolutely. What do you make of President Tinubu's silence? Because some people have actually questioned his ability to, control the APC in Lagos State.
Well, for me personally, and when we see something of this nature, people will call in the name, they call in the name of the president, they call in the name of the first lady at the point. And I'm happy that the House of Assembly categorically, said that the first lady does not have a hand in what is going on. But people, sometimes they said, we read the body language of Mr. President, or we read body language of Mr. Governor, and the body language can also be misread sometimes. So for that, we have not had any formal report to say President Tinubu is involved or he has an interest, so to say, in what is going on in the Lagos State. It's just a matter of hearsay, body language. He has not come out to say this is what we should do or this is what should happen. But we have also heard a report that the president has given mandate to GAC and also even asked former governor of Osun State, Baba Bisi Akonde, and also Arima Olusegun Oshoba of Ogun State to find a political and amicable resolution to this matter. But we are monitoring development, and maybe in the next few days or week, we will see where this will lead us to.
Now, away from Lagos State, and before we let you go, Taiwo, can you react to the recent Supreme Court judgment in Rivers State? Well,
just like I said, like Rivers, like Lagos, because we saw Governor Siminalayi Fubara presented the budgets of Rivers State to 4 lawmakers. And number one, the number of lawmakers that he presented the budget before does not form a quorum. It doesn't form a quorum. Just like in the Lagos State House of Assembly, we have 40 members. And the quorum for 40 members to third is about, I think around 24 thereabouts. And in the case of the removal of Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, we had overwhelming members. It's supposed to be 24, but we had about 36 thereabouts that removed Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. So the question that are we likely to see Lagos also, delving or also tilting towards what is happening in Rivers State? I wish this matter will be quickly resolved either by the court of law or find amicable resolution. Because Lagos is a pace setter. Lagos is a state that every other state, is like a signature of all highs. And we know the days when you see governors coming to Lagos, they will say, we have come to learn from Lagos. We see days under the leadership of Right Honorable Adeyemi Kuforiji, even lawmakers from outside the country, they come to the parliament to say, we want to learn, we want to see how you people are doing it. But we don't see that again because of this rascality that is going on, because of this, somebody said the speaker cannot stay, the speaker must resign, all sort of, the speaker has resigned, and this does not good for Lagos polity. And it's quite unfortunate because we don't also have a viral opposition. If there's a viral opposition to check maybe the ruling party, maybe we couldn't have, be having what we are experiencing at the moment.
How strong are oppositions these days?
Sorry, do you mean in Lagos?
In Lagos and in Nigeria generally.
If I ask you the question, I don't know if you can answer. Do you know the chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos State, even the Labour Party, that did wonderfully well in the last 2023 general election, because of they're also facing one internal wrangling or crisis or the other, and that's why APC, the way it has looked, is like it's taking the people of Lagos for granted. And we need a strong opposition to put those in power, on their toes, to put them in check. But sadly, we don't have a strong or viral opposition in Lagos State, as the case may be. But I want to see a quick, and because in the long run, they say, when 2 elephants fight, it is the grasses. Now, in this case, we, the residents, are the ones that are likely to suffer because the crisis will not even, it won't stop the salary of the lawmakers, but it will affect lawmaking in the state, because now both leadership under Miranda, under what's his name, Mudashiru Obasa, are the joint synod. In case there are laws that are to be signed into law, in case there are laws that have gone through second reading, that need third reading, and now passed to the governor for his assent, how would that be how would that happen? That means the legislative arm of government in Lagos State has been halted. Right. And in the long run, it will affect socio-economic development of Lagos State.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Taiwo Olakpade, for joining us and speaking on this.
Thank you so much for having me.
And with that, let's get back to the news there. The Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja has ordered that all members of the Lagos State House of Assembly be joined by as parties in the ongoing suit filed by Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. Presiding over the case, Justice Yetunde Pinheiro also adjourned proceedings until March 27, 2025 to hear all pending applications related to the matter. Honorable Obasa, who was removed as Speaker by at least 36 lawmakers on January 13, 2025, filed the suit challenging his ouster while he was reportedly out of the country. Now, his legal team, led by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Chief Afolabi Fashanu, maintains that his ouster did not follow due process. Meanwhile, 35 lawmakers who supported Obasa's removal were present in court for the hearing, signaling their continued stance on the leadership change within the Lagos Assembly. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. And still on the news, we have a guest joining us at the moment to speak to us on the Supreme Court judgment on the Rivers State Assembly. That's the Rivers Assembly crisis. Right now we have Justice Ojieno. He's a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us on the news, Justice.
It's our pleasure to join you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, so please, can you go ahead and give us your own view or perspective on the crisis or the appeal, that's the judgment delivered by the Supreme Court on the Rivers State crisis at the moment?
Okay, for me, at this stage, we usually have to say that what lawyers say is whether you like it or not, a decision has been delivered. You have to take it. If you are not satisfied this time, you have to actually go to God. So based on what has been decided so far, I feel that the Supreme Court stood on very, very strong grounds and firm terrain. We call it terra firma in law, in coming to its decision on the fact of the few number of persons that passed the budgets, and the fact that they didn't constitute a quorum, and the overriding decision to tell the CBN to actually not pay to the River State governors, to the River State government as apparently constituted because of the position and the state of the budget that was passed before, the number of legislators that it was passed before. I feel that there is now nothing that we can possibly do on the matter. And just like Mr. Olakpade also said, Lagos State too is forming up to start doing things like that. So I feel that what generally this Supreme Court decision on this matter has settled now is that quorum is very, very important. No matter what happens to other legislators, for example, whether they cross-carpeted or anything like that, it must have been established that they have cross-carpeted before you can present a budget or present any legal decision before a very, very tiny and minuscule number of legislators in the name of presenting to the properly constituted representatives of the people before it can become a law or before a budget can be passed, even though we also know that a budget too, a passed budget, in essence, is a law.
All right, Justice. Now, the courts actually, you talked about, the court, that Supreme Court standing on business, right? Now, the court also ruled that the CBN and all financial institutions should stop paying any money accrued to the Rivers State government. Now, how do you think it's going to affect, governance and also leadership in the state?
Okay, for me, I think that it is very, 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 very unfortunate. Money, especially federal money, in our own democracy, in our type of democracy, federal money is the lifeblood of all states. Almost all states are practically not viable. So with this judgment, if money is not paid directly to the coffers of, I find it hard. I find it hard to be able to believe that it will be possible for the state to run effectively and efficiently. Even though the president, when he was the governor of Lagos State, he was lucky to have been able to at least run the state on a minimalist budget without that much of federal support. But whether a state like Rivers State will be able to survive on just IGR, internally generated revenue, and every other alternative revenue, but the federal revenue, I find it hard to believe that will be something that will be sustainable by the Rivers State governor. I think that it's going to be a very, very hard one on the government if the government still decides to go ahead and run the state without federal revenue. Also, I must also state that there's something called post-judgment settlement. Rather than enforce the judgment of the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal judgment or even a High Court judgment, sometimes parties come together and see how else they can try to resolve the matter when they know that the enforcement of the judgment of the courts may be very, very hard, despite the fact that the judgment of the court is non-negotiable. They can still go back and still see how they can still resolve matters independent of the judgment of the court. But whether this kind of judgment is one that is enforceable in that manner, or the parties will even be willing to come together to have a post-judgment enforcement arrangement or post-judgment settlement or negotiation.
Well, Justice, speaking on this judgment now, I would love to hear your legal perspective on this, and talking about cutting off, that's the court cutting off or telling institutions to stop paying money, to the government. Does this amount to a constitutional crisis, considering that the governor has actually been running budgets all year?
Okay, sometimes we usually say that a judge doesn't give a judgment on something that's already concluded. An injunction doesn't come, or a judgment doesn't come on what is no longer enforceable, because a court must not give its judgment in vain. So with respect to the things that are already impossible to retract or retrace, I think that it may not apply. So with respect to going forward, I think that now the CBN and all other financial institutions are bound by the judgment of the Supreme Court, because pursuant to the judicial powers given to the Supreme Court in Section 6 of our Constitution, every person or institution or even government are bound by the decision of the Supreme Court. So I feel that with respect to implementation, it is only what can be salvaged or things that are what we call in future that can be bound. But everything that has already been done that is impossible to retract or to be made undone, those ones, I think that they are, in a manner of speaking, just gone with the wind, and they are not reversible.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Justice, for your time and for speaking to us.
It's my pleasure.
And now away from Nigeria, South Africa's Finance Minister, Enoch Godongwana, has warned that any tariffs imposed by the United States on African countries would have a devastating economic impact. Speaking in Cape Town at the conclusion of a two-day meeting of finance ministers and central bank governors from the world's leading economies, Godongwana expressed deep concern over the potential effects of such tariffs. He emphasized that in the current fiscal environment, the possibility of the U.S. imposing trade restrictions on South African exports poses a serious economic threat. The minister's remark come amid growing uncertainty over global trade relations, with analysts warning that increased tariffs could further strain economic stability in South Africa and across the continent.
Imposed by the USA on any of the African countries would have devastating effects. It should be of concern, but it was not discussed. What I do know that I'm told, I was in a meeting that they've done something against Europe. It's not yet finalized. We've been given 90 days, but the amount is substantially high. Yeah. So one should always be high. The amount, I'm told, is about 8.8 billion yes. rand. So, of course, it's a worrying situation in the current fiscal environment.
South Africa is hosting the basic education sector, Legotla, in Boksburg, Johannesburg, under the theme Strengthening Foundations for Learning for a Resilient Future Fit Education System. Now, the aim of this gathering is to deliberate at strengthening early childhood development for improved learning in later years, improving foundational skills of numeracy and literacy, especially reading and the use of mother tongue-based bilingual education, and providing support and development programs to equip educators with skills. The South African Department of Basic Education has aligned the 2025 G20 Education and 2025 Basic Education Legotla agenda in line with the call by President Ramaphosa to take the G20 to the people. Bongani Siziba has more.
Is the bedrock upon which societies are built and on which they thrive, but it is also the bedrock upon which the futures of nations are made. Because education enables development. In many ways, it is a catalyst of progress for individuals, for communities, for countries, and for economies as well.
Leaders and educators unite to discuss a crucial aspect of South Africa's future of early childhood development.
This Lekgotla represents an opportunity to extend the conversation to our partners, to extend the planning to you, our partners, the experts in the field, so that as we are shaping the education system going forward, we not only have your expertise that have made an input, but also we are walking along with you in this journey.
A commitment to strengthening early childhood development, emphasizing the nation's agenda to prioritize education from its most fundamental level.
Without basic education that is strong and doing well, we have no good science system in our country. It's as simple as that.
Central to this agenda is the understanding that a strong foundation in education begins with nurturing the minds of young learners, especially in their mother tongue. Studies show that children who learn in their first language engage more effectively, leading to improved literacy and overall educational outcomes.
While discussions are happening behind closed doors, parents, educators are outside demanding their voices to be heard. Let's talk to one of them just to understand why they are here and what their grievances are.
Look, there's no water in that school. The hygiene, it's bad. There's a learner who is extremely sick as we are speaking, on the basis that toilets are not flushing. And even when toilets are not flushing, the principal will say, no, you must continue to attend because your parents must make sure that this school has water.
As South Africa makes strides in early childhood education, it highlights the importance of community involvement and sustainable practices. The basic education Lekgotla marks a significant step towards achieving South Africa's vision of a comprehensive, inclusive education system, starting with the youngest of the minds. In Johannesburg for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
Well, breaking news just reaching us says that Supreme Court has voided Rivers State local government elections. Now, in a decisive ruling, the Supreme Court has declared the recent local government elections in Rivers State illegal. Justice Tukur, delivering the lead judgment, stated that the election did not comply with the procedures outlined in the Electoral Act. Specifically, the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission failed to update and revise the voters' register as required by laws before setting in the election date or setting an election date. Now, the other 4 justices concord, emphasizing that the Independent National Electoral Commission, that's INEC, did not conduct a revision of the voters' registration 90 days prior to the election, further invalidating the process. Again, breaking news just reaching us says that Supreme Court voids Rivers State local government elections. Now we move on with the news, where the leader of the Rwanda-backed M23 group, Corneille Nangaa, has called for calm in Bukavu, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, following 2 deadly explosions that claimed at least 11 lives during a meeting of the movement. Now, speaking to journalists, Nangaa vowed that those responsible would face consequences. Meanwhile, President Felix Tshisekedi has condemned the attack, describing it as a heinous terrorist act. The explosions come amid escalating violence in eastern DRC, where M23 fighters have seized large territories in recent weeks, engaging in intense battles with the Congolese army. Now, we just brought breaking news to you a little bit earlier that Supreme Court has actually voided state local government elections in Rivers State, and we have a lawyer actually speaking on this in court.
Thank you. Local government can already illegally start. Hello? Yes. That was the council representative.
Please, you start first by introducing.
My name is Dr. Wanosike Samuel, the Executive Chairman of Ikwere Local Government Council, with the ruling of the Supreme Court today. And in obeying all laws of our land, I am still the Chairman of Ikwere Local Government Council as pronounced by the Rivers State House of Assembly led by Martin Chikere Amehule. We want to commend our lords of the Supreme Court. Democracy is operated on legs, the Constitution and the rule of law. And today, they have done justice to those. And it is clear to all of our leaders, be very careful of those that advise you. We don't understand how those who have no role to play in our state, the likes of Ugochiere, to come and be interpreting Supreme Court rulings and Court of Appeal rulings. Today, it has been called a shenanigan and it has no place in law. The likes of Ugochiere and his co-travelers should bury their faces in shame. And to say they are anti-democrat and they are no place in our law. We congratulate every Rivers indigene, those living and doing business in Rivers State, that government was not existing before now. But from today henceforth, government has started running the uphold of this judgment. We thank all of you for coming. Thank you.
Are you going to resume on the office? Yes, with this judgment, how soon are you going to resume?
We will wait for the directive of the Rivers House of Assembly as pronounced by the Supreme Court. They will give us direction because in the local government law has been operated today. Our original supervisors are the Rivers State House of Assembly, and we wait for their directive to move further. Dr. Wanosike Samuel, Chairman of Ikwere Local Government Council.
Well, you just heard from Dr. Wanosike Emmanuel, the chairman of Ikwere Local Government, and he's one of the local government chairman who has been embodied in this current imbroglio that has been rocking the Rivers State. Now, based on the precedent of this state, we are seeing that a new trend is being established, and we also have some other people here to speak to us concerning the ruling that has been delivered by the Supreme Court today. Thank you very much. Sir, tell us your name and who you are.
My name is Chief Tony Okoja. I'm chairman of APC Rivers State.
Okay. What do you have to say concerning this ruling that was delivered today?
Well, what else will anybody say? The justice of the matter was already with us. That's the truth of the matter. And so the resounding judgment of the Supreme Court today has cemented all of that. I mean, people should not be reckless. It is the rule of law, not strong man's morality. So that's what the Supreme Court again had established, that people must follow the law. Yes. In a civil society, what rules is the law? It's not how the powers that you have. We want to flaunt what they call what's that name of what the name again? So you flaunt that. That is not the law. Okay, so the law has spoken, and it is final.
Well, you just heard from the APC chairman of Rivers State, who gave his own perspective to the ruling that was delivered today by the 5 justices of the Supreme Court. Well, it is establishing a new trend. Now we are expecting a move from the embattled lawmakers that have been led by the Martins Amawele faction take over the Rivers State House of Assembly. This brings a new twist to the entire story that has been rocking Rivers State of recent. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Joshua, for that update. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Supreme Court has stopped CBN from releasing funds due for Rivers State to Fubara's government. We also told you that Lagos High Court has ordered all assembly members to be joined in ousted Speaker Obasa's suit. Finally, we told you that South Africa has warned of devastating economic impact of U.S. trade tariffs on African nations. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.